Hello, thanks for taking a moment to watch another one of these videos. Hopefully, as you're progressively watching these, this is giving you some new perspectives on different behaviors that you have in your life and how these behaviors are so interconnected with our mental health and the experience that we're having in our mind. In this conversation today, I'm going to talk about this world of gut health. I run a daily show over on Clubhouse, and of all the things we chat about week on week, gut health seems to be something people are intuitively desiring to improve and intuitively quite interested in. So in this conversation with you today, I'm going to talk about why gut health is important and something that's worth focusing on, and then how we can actually begin to improve our gut health. Starting off with the gut, I think what's important to recognize and understand is the gut is effectively like the powerhouse of this system. It really is running a lot of the show. For example, it holds 70% of our immune system in it. So in terms of navigating illness and disease, our gut is incredibly important. It's of course very important for our energy regulation as well. When we look at poor gut health, we're beginning to see interconnected relationships with things like Alzheimer's in our society, things like anxiety, depression, and poor mental health, all being associated with a challenged gut microbiome, the environment that our gut lives within. So we can see a number of reasons as to why focusing on our gut health is important. Our energy, our ability to have a strong immune system, our mental health, our anxiety, our depression, all very important areas to consider. When we look at the relationship between gut health and mental health, what's important to recognize is the neurotransmitters that are involved in our gut and that are interconnected with our mind. So we have this serotonin neurotransmitter that I talk about a lot. All of our happiness, pleasure, well-being, good mood neurotransmitter is serotonin, and 90% of our serotonin is housed and produced in our digestive tract and then moved to our brain. So if we're looking in terms of mental health, this is something we want to be experiencing joy and happiness. We need a healthy and balanced gut to do so. The other area of mental health is dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is responsible for all of our motivation and reward for the behaviors we do. So anytime you're feeling motivated to go outside, to do your work, to connect with someone you love, to eat good food, to go to sleep, dopamine is motivating that behavior. And 50% of our dopamine is housed within the digestive tract, within our gut, and then moved to the brain. So you can see the deep interconnection our gut has with our brain. When we're looking at how we can improve it, that's the important part. That's probably why you're watching this video. The first thing to understand is our stomach is basically full of trillions and trillions of different bacteria. And what we're wanting to do is have a really diverse range of bacteria in our stomach. So say for example, one bacteria came in that was going to cause us some kind of difficulty, some disease within the body. We'd have this massive army of defense basically, so we could easily take out that challenging bacteria. If, for example, we just lived off processed foods and never had any diversity in our diet, we'd have a really small diversity of bacteria in our stomach. So if one bacteria came in and it had a bit of strength within it to cause us some difficulty, and we had a really weak army, it's going to have a good chance of taking over that system. So with this in mind, what we want to think about with our diet is, how can I consume as diverse a range of bacteria as possible to make this ecosystem in your stomach as happy and as strong and as equipped as it possibly can? Starting things off, I think it's good to look at fruits and vegetables. What you're wanting to think about with both of these is simply diversifying what you eat. Humans are so habitual with our food. We go to the supermarket or you shop online, and it's very easy to just always buy the same things. If you always get apples and bananas, for example, doesn't mean these are bad fruits by any means, but what you're wanting to seek to do is start varying your diet up a bit more. We're incredibly lucky to have access to so many different foods, and it's great to actually utilize that opportunity. So how could you get some different fruits week on week? How could you get some different vegetables? Because each of these products is carrying its own bacterial profile. So if you're consuming a really big range of them, you're just adding all of those good bacteria to your stomach. In terms of the vegetables, something extra to consider, all vegetables are fantastic, is dark green leafy vegetables. Now, one of the challenges we have in society now with the amount of sugar and transaturated fat and alcohol that we consume, we've got quite acidic stomachs. Now, dark green leafy vegetables kale, spinach, broccolis, peas, anything like that that's dark green can alkalize the stomach. So really good to consider. So first off, fruit and veg, diversify it. After that, what you really want to be looking at is fibrous foods. And from my research into this space, fiber is like heaven for our stomach. It has a real cleansing effect on our bowels. So if you can get more fibrous foods into your diet, grains, seeds, nuts, oats, brown rices, sweet potatoes, whole grain carbohydrates, anything like that is going to provide real value to your stomach. The next thing to consider is fermented foods. These are becoming progressively more and more popular. You see things like kimchi or sauerkraut, they're kind of fermented cabbage-based products. Fermented foods are good because they just have tons and tons of these bacteria that we're seeking to have within our stomach. So maybe worth going to the supermarket, trying them out, experimenting with them, Google it, see online whether you can find a meal that they fit into, a good thing to consider. Another idea on that fermented kind of concept is sourdough bread is actually built from a bacterial base. It's grown from a bacterial base, which is quite different to how other bread is created. So if you like having toast, avocado on toast, whatever you may enjoy, sourdough bread is a really good option. The final thing to consider is what you are drinking, and could you consume any drinks that are really valuable to your gut microbiome. So there are these drinks cropping up more and more that I made a reel on recently called kombucha. You see them in the supermarkets. They're normally in kind of the cold drink section near the sandwiches, or like Coca-Cola and Sprite and all that sort of stuff. And these drinks, again, they're full of very good live bacteria that can be really valuable for our stomach. They actually contain a bacteria called lactobacillus, which has had loads of research coming out now in terms of its anti-anxiety properties, its ability to reduce cortisol, boost serotonin. A study by a chap, I want to say called Yong in 2019, actually did a research study comparing antidepressant medication against these probiotic drinks for people that were experiencing anxiety and depression. And they saw really comparable results initially from just having a boost in this probiotic drink in their diet in comparison to the group that were experiencing the antidepressant medication. And they actually found those results sustained for longer periods of time. As we know, some medications can cause difficulty in our body over the long term. So really good thing to consider. So what you've got there, diversifying your fruits and veg, eating a lot of fibrous foods, thinking about fermented foods, and thinking about getting some of these kombucha probiotic drinks into your diet. The other thing that's great about them is if you are someone that wants to kind of have an alcoholic drink every day because you feel habitually inclined to, because you've been doing it for ages, but sometimes think maybe it would serve me well not to drink this evening. It's really good kind of alternative version. So in the evening, often you want something that tastes quite nice. Kombucha will give you an alternative to water, and as you drink more and more of them, they become more and more delicious. Just like the early days of drinking booze. Booze is disgusting. When you first taste it, progressively you begin to enjoy it. Very similar. Kombucha is actually nice pretty much off the bat. The final thing to consider with your gut health is stress. So as I said earlier, our immune system is largely housed within our stomach, and when we're under any kind of stress, whether it's overwhelm, fear, anxiety, worry, whatever it may be, we activate this stress system within our body, this sympathetic nervous system, which is designed to effectively mobilize our energy to survive something in our outer world. That's how it evolutionarily developed. And as you can imagine, if we're experiencing that kind of emotion and our body is thinking, I need to protect myself, some kind of danger is coming towards my life, as we're mobilizing our energy for the outer world, our inner world is completely switching off. Things like your gut are really turning off, your immune system is turning off. So if you're wanting good gut health, you really need to think, how am I managing my stress levels so I'm not in too much of a state of stress to allow my gut to actually be able to function optimally. This is therefore considering all these different strategies. Am I moving regularly? Am I getting outdoors? Could I try out a meditative practice? Am I sleeping well? Am I connecting with those I love? All of these different practices really help to reduce our stress levels. I hope that's some useful thoughts. Hopefully now you have a good understanding of why gut health is important, so interconnected with our mental health, what you can be eating, and the importance of regulating your stress levels with all these different activities. Thanks so much, as always, for coming and watching this conversation with me today, and I look forward to connecting with you again in the next video.